Okay, g'day guys, welcome back. Episode 4, we're going back to the Tiger 1 in 35th scale from Italeri. Okay, today I'm going to talk about where we're at. Alright, priming. But I've chosen to use the new Tamiya lacquers, and I've gone with this deep dark red, deep dark colour, and by using that as a base colour, we'll be able to expose chipping and different effects and let that colour show through the top coating colours, this one being a Russian front one, Eastern front, so it's like a snow scheme, sort of light, like a matte white with sort of like a light tan camouflage. And we've also been doing a lot of work on these little suckers, all the road wheels. As you can see, there's lots of them. Alright, so alright, and as you can see, we've done a few the tank hatches here. So that's the external. Alright, that's the commander's coupler's hatch, I think. That's that interior buff. Looks a bit yellow in the light, but it's actually like a light cream colour. There's another hatch cover, and I've actually let the paint colour dry for a couple of days because I haven't had a lot of time to do any modelling, to be honest. But I've also put, get it in the right light, you can see how shiny that is. I've actually put an acrylic clear Tamiya's X22 over that enamel, and we'll put a wash on that, so that'll be sitting on top of the turret, opened up, alright, and a little bit of a wash, a bit of weathering in here, and that'll make those little details, that surface detail, pop a little bit. Alright. We've also started doing all the track parts. Again, to me is like a, I think it's RLM66 I've used, which is a German interior, Luftwaffe aircraft interior colour. Just a dark sort of steel grey, just as a base colour. And again, you'll notice on those two track, solid sections of track here, I've put a gloss clear as well. So we'll start to weather these up and we'll make them look more dirtied up, rusty sort of brown colours. Okay. Especially once we weather them, we're going to pigment and washes and all sorts of stuff, and a little bit of like metal effect on some of the worn edges later on. But there's a lot of work to do there, a lot of work in putting these tracks together. Alright, and that's when these little sticks come in handy. Okay, so they're just shish kebab sticks. You can buy those at your local supermarket. Alright, so available all over the place are these, you know, like little clip-on clampy things. They're really handy. You can go and buy those online if you like, I suppose, but you know what, for the price of a dozen of those, I'm going to have 500 of these sticks here, and you can see how long they are. I could make 3 sticks out of that. Alright, and it's really handy. The ends are pointed, okay? Different kit parts will have a different inner diameter for all these holes to hold things onto. So if the stick's too thin, you can just cut a little bit shorter and then push it on, and now you've got a hands-free, you know, holder for your parts, and you can just poke them into a foam base like this here. So as you're building and painting, you know, stick them in there. Right. So that's all our parts primed in that dark red colour. With the white, we're going to use again our Tamiya LP lacquer. This one's LP4 flat white. The first thing you got to do, remember, is to clean out your colour cut. So some neat lacquer thinner. Just get in there with your old brush. Make sure there's no residual, especially with this. We're going from a red, a deep red, to a white. But I'm not going to be too fussy about the cleanup because it's dual action. Makes it quite easy for cleanup. You can see the brush and the excess paint come off the brush there. It's quite thin. Alright, so just make sure you get in there, open the needle, don't compress it though. Don't press the trigger down, I don't want to blow this through. I'm just pulling the needle back to expose it and just blow the excess through. Another little trick when you clean your airbrush. You put your thinner in, etc. Alright, you've probably all seen this before. Finger over the end of the nozzle, alright, make sure it's blocked. And just slowly pull the trigger back. You can see that bubbling up in there. It's blowing back up into the cup, so it's giving your needle a really good clean out. Okay, once you're happy that you think it's clean enough, you can spray some through. Alright, so you can see that's still got that hint of pink in it. Alright, but as you blow it all through, it starts to dissipate. Alright, make sure you get it all through there. Quite clear. Now, if you're really paranoid, you can just drop a couple more drops in there just to be sure. Just swirl it through. Alright, blow the excess out. Alright, get your little airbrush cleaning unit there. Just blow that neat thinner through. Alright. Okay, I've got nothing coming out now. It's nice and clean. You're ready for your next colour. Now, we're going to go with the white. I've already noticed I'm low on lacquer thinner there in my little dedicated cup, so I'll just get some more of that. It's a lot easier to deal with that little specimen cup than it is to be faffing around with a 1 litre tin of this stuff, right? So I'll try and keep, you know, rather than dealing with this great big tin here, I'm just decanting it out of there. Remember to seal that when it's not needed, because that stuff will evaporate. Alright, there's little cups, little plastic cups, perfect. Alright. Okay, once again, make sure your airbrush is nice and clean. Bit of tissue, whatever, just get in there. Make sure there's absolutely nothing left in there. Inspect it, make sure it's all nice and clean. Alright, there's absolutely nothing in there. Okay, so we're ready for our next colour. That's, I guess, one benefit of dual action airbrushes. It is kind of quicker and more efficient to clean between colours. Anyway, we'll go with our white now, and I'll just quickly show you how I'm going to apply the white paint to this red base. Alright, now there's going to be a lot more painting steps to this build than what you're going to see here today. But I'm just trying to show you what I mean about pre-shading and all your different layers of paint. Now this stuff here, make sure you've got it really well mixed up. This one's a brand new pot, I've just opened it, this flat white. And there's a little bit of goop in the bottom of the pot. The pigments have settled a little bit, so you want to give it a really good stir up, make sure that's all mixed in properly. Alright, and just check on your stick that it's flowing off your stick okay. Alright, so we'll put some in our colour cup. Okay, now I've already primed the airbrush up, so it's well ready for its next colour. Alright, there's quite a bit of paint in there. Now these pots, they're only 10mm pots, okay. All the more reason to thin. You'll make it go a lot further. Paint to thinner ratio with this, I don't know, 60-40 paint to thinner, 6 parts paint, 4 parts thinner. It's not quite 50-50, depends on the colour I think. Now for example with a white, I don't want to thin it too far. Alright, like any colour, you can always add thinner later if you haven't got consistency right, but with white it's not as strong a pigment as black, for example, so just don't thin it as much initially. You can always add some if need be. Make sure you got your flow right. It's like milk. Alright, as long as you don't thin too much to start with, you'll be right. Clean your stick off. Okay, check the flow of your airbrush. Now, because it's white, not a bad idea. Go and paint over something else that's a contrasting colour. Okay, so we've got good flow there. Alright, we'll grab one of our road wheels. Now, like I said, the innermost row of road wheels, you're not going to see as much when the model's on display. Alright, so we'll do that row first, and then we'll be able to glue those to the kit. Alright, and any little bit of extra weathering we can do later on. Alright, the outermost ones are going to have the most wear and the most effort put into their weathering, I guess is the way to put it. So the inner ones, I'll just grab one of the inner ones. So we go to our kit, and it's 13B. Alright, so if we have a look at the drawings, 13B road wheels, they're the innermost row. Alright, so we go to our bags that I've numbered and get the 13B, which are over here. As you can see, I've kept them all together, so there's my bag of 13B road wheels. And they're all on their cocktail sticks, or shish kebab sticks, as you like. Now, again, just make sure you've got good flow with your airbrush paint. Alright. Again, double check. Don't test it on your model. Test it on something else. As a matter of fact, if I find something that's a little bit, a bigger box here, we've got this black base here that we can have a look. And like I said, you want to get that dust effect, really fine dusty finish. You don't want it to be spattering and throwing out big lumps of paint. You want a nice soft feathered edge. Alright, you can see that there. Alright, so I think we're ready to go with the white. Alright, now the rear of the wheel. Alright, if you look at the drawings, that wider cog, outer cog, is the outer face. That narrower is the inner face. You're not even going to see the back of that. Alright, so we'll use that as our test bed. Alright, now I'm going to apply a really thin layer of white. And because I'm not having to actually handle the part, I've got it on that stick, I can actually twirl the stick. So you can hold your airbrush in position. Alright, I'm getting fairly close, just don't pull the trigger down too much. If you're a bit paranoid about getting too much paint flow, you can always... Alright, getting there. And then that internal bit. Alright, and that's about it. I don't really want to go any further, because I don't want to completely cover that dark red base. I'm going to leave that exposed a little bit. Alright, so you can see around the centre cog. Alright. I'll just grab another one and show you that again. You really only have to put a light coat on. When it dries, it'll back off a bit too, so it'll still show that sort of red coloured base through, and it'll just act like a bit of shading. Alright, and that's it. Because we're only putting it on really thin, paint's going to go a long way. Alright, you can see that there. Alright, and if you wanted to, you can do the back. I mean, I probably will. Alright, you're never going to see it. Alright. So yeah, I'm just going to work away at that and see how we go. Another little handy thing I should have mentioned too, like while you can buy these little steel clamps, you know, for holding parts, like some of these road wheel parts I couldn't use a cocktail stick, so you can buy a clamp type thing like this. It's on a bit of wire, alright, so you can clamp it onto bits like on the inside of the cog there. I can clamp it on there and I'm hands free. Okay, alright, so I can work away painting and doing whatever else on that without actually holding the part and it ending up covered in human fingerprints. Alright, so it's handy too for later on when we weather and apply pin washers and all that sort of stuff. So these little clampy things are a really good idea. Alright, but a real cheap way of doing that is to buy these. You can get these anywhere, you know, the electronic stores and stuff like that. Alright, they're actually lead acid battery alligator clip-ons. Out of the packet they look like that. They come with these little rubber sheaths on them. You don't need a little rubber sheath, although you could use it if you want. Alright, and you end up with just this little alligator clip. Alright, and it's got that little slotted section here with these little clips you can bend over. So you get your shish kebab sticks like this that you can buy in bags for very little. Like that's just one jar of them I've got there. I've got hundreds of them. Alright, they come in really handy. But then if you've got a bag of these, you can just push those little clips, you can buy those separately, push those little clips on there with the pointed end of the skewer. Alright, and there you've got a little bottle clip. Alright, like I said before, you can cut this stick into at least 3. Put a shampoo or pointed end on each stick and use it either holding parts like that and working hands free, or you can actually have a little clamp on stick. So little things like that, good little tips for using for when you're airbrushing parts, even brush painting. Alright, so I can stick that into a block of flame and I'm working with 2 hands. I've got 2 hands free to do the paint.